iconic comedian and filmmaker Charlie Chaplin is fondly remembered as one of the greatest artists of the last century. In a career that lasted more than 75 years, Chaplin touched countless hearts with brilliant performances in masterpieces like The Great Dictator,
By the promise of these things, brutes have risen to power,
and Modern Times, among several others. To the world's collective dismay, the pioneering figure passed away in December of 1977 at the age of 88 after suffering a stroke in his sleep. According to Chaplin's wishes, a small and private Anglican funeral ceremony was held on the 27th of December in a local cemetery in the Swiss village of Coursières-sur-Vevey. However, on the 1st of March 1978, just a few months after his demise, Chaplin's grave was desecrated when grave robbers stole the coffin containing the actor's body. In spite of an aggressive investigation, no one knew why for many weeks. So, in the absence of hard evidence, people naturally began inventing their own theories. Some speculated that Charlie's body was stolen by fanatical fans hell-bent on fulfilling Chaplin's long-held desire to be buried in England, his native country. Others suspected that anti-Semites had removed Chaplin's remains from the Gentile cemetery, as Charlie was part Jewish. However, the true reason became known a short time later after Chaplin's widow, Una, received a ransom demand of some $600,000. Immediately, the police tapped Una's phone and monitored 200 public phones in the area, waiting for the criminals to make their next call. Una had refused to pay the ransom, saying that her husband would have thought the demand, quote, rather ridiculous. The callers later made threats against her two youngest children. Una Chaplin was Charlie's fourth wife and the daughter of the playwright Eugene O'Neill. She and Chaplin were married in 1943 when she was 18 and he was 54. They had 8 children together. The family had settled in Switzerland in 1952 after the controversial Chaplin, whom his enemies accused of being a communist sympathiser, learned he would be denied a re-entry visa to the United States en route to the London premiere of his film Limelight. After a 5-week investigation, police arrested 2 auto mechanics, Roman Wardas of Poland and Gancho Ganev of Bulgaria, who on May 17th led them to Chaplin's body, which they had buried in a cornfield about 1 mile from the Chaplin family's home in Coursières. In court, Wardas explained that he had asked his friend Ganev to help him in stealing the coffin, believing that the ransom would help them both survive in an environment where employment had not come so readily to them. Both were political refugees. Wardas had left Poland in search of work, but was virtually destitute in Switzerland and saw the body theft as a viable financial solution. The pair had removed the coffin and placed it in Ganev's car, who drove it to the field, where the body was reburied in a shallow grave. Wardas explained in court that, quote, "I did not feel particularly squeamish about interfering with a coffin. I was going to hide it deeper in the same hole originally, but it was raining and the earth got too heavy." Once the body was stashed, Wardas, under the name Mr. Rochat, made the infamous ransom and threatening calls to the family, to no success. During court proceedings, the Chaplin family lawyer asked to speak to Mr. Rochat, from whom he had received the majority of the ransom calls. Anxiously rising from the stand, Wardas was wished a good morning by the lawyer. When questioned in court, Ganev said coldly that, quote, "I was not bothered about lifting the coffin. Death is not so important where I come from." He had been imprisoned in Bulgaria following attempts to flee to Turkey and finally made his way to Switzerland, making a small wage as a mechanic. However, Ganev's involvement began and ended with the transportation and reburial of the body, pleading ignorance of any extortion claims. According to the court reports, Ganev was shocked at the public response to the crime, having believed that he was exposing himself to minimal risks. As such, when sentencing came around, he was given an 18-month suspended sentence. Wardas, however, was identified as the mastermind behind the crime and was sentenced to 4.5 years of hard labour. Wardas explained that he devised the plot following his discovery of a report of a similar incident in Italy, otherwise would not have thought of such a crime. Both men showed genuine regret for their actions and wrote letters to Una, who accepted their apologies. Speaking to the media, Chaplin's son Eugene recounted that, quote, "The wife of the nicer one wrote and said we're so sorry. My mother wrote back and said, look, I have nothing especially against you and all is forgiven." As for Chaplin's body, it was reburied in the original plot, but in a newly designed concrete tomb in order to prevent any future light-fingered corpse thieves.
Let us fight for a new world, a decent world, that will give men a chance to work, that will give youth a future and old age a security. By the promise of these things, brutes have risen to power, but they lie. They do not fulfill that promise. They never will. Dictators free themselves, but they enslave the people. Now let us fight!